交易者听起来很酷，没盈利又什么都不是。K 线之间，你屡败屡战，却屡战屡败，浑然不知是眼界输了。金钱永不眠，方向不止一边。电波刺穿圈层，声音勾画伦敦。这一刻，为你推开金融城的交易门。
Hello， 大家好，欢迎大家来到伦敦交易者，我是伦敦交易者的主创 Richard。那我们这次请到嘉宾比较特殊，他的名字叫 Steve Dansberg， 他是专门为交易员提升他们的交易绩效的，也就是交易的效率。那也有解决一些交易员的心理的瓶颈或者心理的一些问题。Steve 他同时也是一个交易员，而且他拥有10多年的一个在场内做交易员的经历，在 Live Exchange 就是伦敦的金融期货交易所，作为一个交易员长达10年的时间，后面转型成为一个操作电子盘的交易员。但是他在电子盘操作过程觉得自己不是很喜欢，他就开始转型去寻找一些他自己愿意做的事儿。那他就开始学习如何成为一个心理咨询师，所以这是一个非常有趣的采访。我在接受这个采访之前的时候和他通了几次电话，在这个电话的过程当中，我反复都想要了解到底他这种模式是不是可行的，也就是交易员是不是真的需要一个专门的心理咨询师来给他提升他的交易效率，这是非常有趣的一个点。所以希望大家通过我们的访谈能够找到说你自己想要找的这样的一个原因。好，那我们废话不多说，有请我们的嘉宾
Steve。Hello, Steve. It's my pleasure to let you into this program. And so the first thing is please say hello to the Chinese audience first.
Good morning to the Chinese audience.
And let's start with a quick ask and answers.
I started working up in London as a 16-year-old. I would probably be looking at more of fundamentals. Trading psychology for me is the most important thing. I think anyone could be a trader. Well, I haven't traded for 12 years. I've been full-time in my career now for 12 years.
And when you start trading?
I'm currently 51 and I started working up in London as a 16-year-old. I was always fascinated by the financial markets, and I started originally on the stock exchange. And a friend of mine was working on the futures market across the road, and I went one lunchtime to go and meet him, and I went into the viewing gallery and I looked down and I just saw this crazy market with these people and the noise and the colors, and I just thought, I've got to work there.
Okay.
So I was very fortunate to get a job on the life market.
So what's your first job? So your first job is the runners in the floor, right?
Yeah, my first job was a runner with a guy called David Kite, who was not just one of the great traders on the life floor, but was one of the great traders in financial markets across the world. Extraordinary trader.
And you have 10 years experience as a floor trader. Some say that trading floor are crowded and intense, everyone yelling. And is it true? Were you scared at the beginning?
Initially, it was very intimidating. I felt very, very intimidated. I just wanted to kind of cower into the corner in some respects. But it doesn't take long to kind of find your feet. And I was a confident young man, and I was probably 17, 18 now. And so it doesn't take long to kind of meet other people and start to get a feel for the market and what's actually going on.
You started as a runner at Live Exchange and saw it at its best. And we don't know much about Live. And can you tell us more about it?
Well, absolutely, Richard. I mean, rise in life was quite extraordinary. When I first started, it was on the old Life Exchange, which it was a beautiful building. It's called the Royal Exchange, beautiful building. And it was a very, very busy exchange. But it became clear that the market was too big. The growth was too big for its current home. And so they moved the exchange to a place called Cannon Bridge, which was this huge trading floor. And it was just this beast that was just getting bigger and bigger. Every record of the amount of lots being traded to the exchanges and contracts being opened. It was just, the growth was phenomenal. And then, like most things that grow in such a quick way, it comes to a very quick end. And the exchange closed, and it went from open outcry to across the screens. You know, there were still large numbers going through, but that was the beginning of the decline.
Actually, what do you do after leaving Live Exchange?
So the exchange closed down. I was involved in a couple of software companies that wanted to bring real-time data out to the masses. And it was a very exciting time, but it didn't go as well as we'd hoped. I became a screen trader. I was okay, but obviously once you've had great times on the floor, the success on the screens just it didn't resemble the success from the floor. But I'd always had interest in the mind. I'd always had an interest in how we perform and how we get in our own way and how life is difficult or beautiful. And that obviously included trading. So that's when I became interested in studying more about the psychological side of trading and becoming a coach.
You have been a performance coach for 12 years, right?
Yes.
And this is the first time I hear the concept of performance coaching. You are training traders, but you don't trade anymore. And how do you teach traders when you have stopped trading? And what do you teach them?
I don't give anybody any advice or any way in which they should trade.
Okay.
As I said, I've had my business for 12 years, and I've never once told anybody what they should or shouldn't do as a trader.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to help people tap into the magnificence that lies within.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if you heard that, Richard. My job is to help people to tap into the innate potential that lies in everybody.
What's your previous strategy maybe built? But sometimes if you was a floor trader, that job is like just an agent, right? It represents the company and your clients, and to do the trade in the pit. At that time, do you trade by your own fund or you trade your own money?
Yeah, both. So I was what was called a local.
Mm-hmm.
So local would trade their own money, but they would also be able to represent other companies. And what we would do is called fill paper.
Mm-hmm.
Fill paper orders for other companies. So that's what we used to do. So we would fill thousands and thousands and thousands of lots of traders a day sometimes. But also, I'd like to trade my own money. I'd like to get involved into the market. I wanted to be involved. So it wouldn't be a specific way of trading. I would always be looking for an opportunity. And the opportunity could be in the pit that I was in, which was predominantly the BTP, which is an Italian government bond, which was very volatile. Or I could be looking around and seeing opportunities in other pits. And for me and for a lot of people trading on the floor, as opposed to what happens on the screens now, it was very, very often short term. If you thought you could lift an offer, if the market was too bid at 3 and you thought you could lift 3s and turn them around and sell 4, and sometimes it would be longer term, buying 3s to sell 23s, but ideally it would just be an opportunity. Something had presented itself. And when an opportunity presents itself on the market, you're trained, you're designed to maximize that opportunity.
Because that's very interesting.
You worked in live for 10 years. And is it true that it's difficult for floor traders to become screen traders?
That's a very good point. In my mind, I would have thought that people who were, successful on the trading floor would initially and automatically be successful on the screens. But you're right to point out that wasn't always the case, and there wasn't many people who were successful trading on the floor who became successful trading on the screens. A lot of the times, it would be initially the first few years where the switchover was quite good, but predominantly the people who were successful on the floor, who became successful on the screens, were spread traders. Outright traders tended to struggle more.
For retail traders, trading psychology sounds simple but actually quite complicated. You have been a performance coach for 12 years. What are your suggestions for retail traders in this field? Is trading psychology really that important?
Wow, now that's a great question. And without doubt, the most important element in trading is state of mind. There is nothing more important. You can have £10 million in your trading account, but if you're worried, scared, anxious, it's not going to help you perform better. The idea is, Richard, is that regardless of trading, anything in life, we do better when we've got less on our mind, when we're present and when our mind is clear. Now, I could say to you, Richard, do you want a cup of coffee? I could walk out to make you a cup of coffee, but if all of a sudden I say, sorry, did you say you wanted sugar? Did you want milk? If my mind isn't present, I can't even make you a cup of coffee, let alone trade futures. So I think in our innocence, we are trying to be successful. We're trying to learn the right strategies. We're trying to learn about fundamentals. We're trying to learn about what makes a market move and what I can do, and without really understanding how our mind works. It's like putting the cart before the horse. The most important thing is the psychological side of trading. And if that's not right, if you're not in tune, if you're not connected to the extraordinary power of your mind, it's like being one of the world's best footballers but having your boots on the wrong. I don't care how good Lionel Messi is or Cristiano Ronaldo might be at football. If their boots are on the wrong feet, they're not going to be as good as they can be. So to answer your question, yes, it is hugely important, and there is nothing more important, not just in trading, but in everything in our life as our own state of mind.
I train traders too, and I know that trading psychology is very important, but it is easier said than done. And how can traders deal with trading psychology?
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about myself, the problems that I faced as a trader. I had the most extraordinary time working on the live floor, and I was pretty successful. But I was so limited. I was getting my own way with fear, anxiety, worry, stress, pressure. I wasn't allowing my own innate ability to see an opportunity, to stick to a plan. Discipline, all of these things, they're all built inside of us. So I was completely limiting how successful I could be because I didn't realize how much my mind was getting in my own way. And so I wouldn't take an opportunity, and then I would get out of a winning trade too early, and then I would give myself a hard time. Oh, why did you do that? Look how far it's gone now. Look how much money you could have made.
Yes.
I didn't realize how my mind was getting in my own way. And if I'd have known, if I could go back now to my trading days with the understanding of my mind now, the job would be completely different. The success would be completely different. But something else, Richard, as well, that is hugely, hugely profound. Again, I didn't know. I used to believe that how I felt came from the outside. So I used to think that made me happy, that made me sad, that made me angry. That just assumed, believed that the more money I earned, the more happy I'd be. The more success I had, the greater my well-being would be. And that's not true. So again, it's just a misunderstanding that, and I can't speak for the Chinese culture, but it's certainly for the Western culture, there's this misunderstanding that we think that we need to fix the outside so we feel better. But that's just not how it works. So I'm trying to help people to understand that there is an intelligence that's inside of every single one of us, bar none. And we need to tap into that. Success, confidence, ambition, drive, discipline, all of these beautiful gifts will become natural.
That's really interesting.
And performance coaching is a new thing for me. When I was doing research online, I couldn't find anything about it in China. And can you tell us more about it?
It's so interesting because we're such individual and unique creatures that, I love to find out what's going on. And this is why I like, and, I just want people to consider certain things, and this is just for people to consider now, is your world is created by your reality. It's created by your own mind. What's good, what's bad, it's all created from your own mind. But there is an infinite potential beyond what you've created. There's an infinite potential beyond your own reality. And my job is to help people to see beyond who they think they are, to see beyond their own limitations, just to get curious, to get curious, to think, well, why do I think I can earn $500 a day? I mean, where did that come from? Where did that number just come from? It could be 250, it could be 2 million. The problem isn't that we think. It's a beautiful gift. The problem is that we believe what we think.
Like believe yourself. I just guess the idea. Is it like you build your confidence at the first stage? So everything you need to believe yourself and you need to build confidence first.
Yeah, I mean that's
Is that
that's my job. My job is to help people to connect to their confidence,
okay? I understand that.
to connect to it, not to get it.
Yeah, you need to connect that. It's already in your mind, right?
It's already it's built into you. You know, you can't go down the shop and buy some confidence.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
sometimes it's fascinating because sometimes we feel confident. You know, same as me. 1 minute I could feel confident. Next minute I don't feel confident. Well, where's confidence gone? It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just my mind. It's just my mind is getting in the way of my confidence. My polluted thinking.
Can you give us an example?
One guy that I worked with, who was a big oil trader. So he used to work on the oil floor in London, and he works on the screens now. And he never had a problem making money. I mean, he would make some big money, but he would also lose lots. So, you know, he's always trying to sort of stay ahead, and he just wanted to have more winning days, and then the losing days would really be a big blow to him. What we've done is we've completely, and I wouldn't say 100%, but I would say 95%, completely eradicated those big losses. He just doesn't have big losses now because he's more in control of his emotions. He's more at peace with what's going on. He can see the bigger picture. So he still has these great up days. So all of these things that he was having to spend a lot of time involved with, he's not having to do. So his P&L has completely changed, but then the knock-on effects, the implications of that, obviously is he's got 3 young children, so he's able to enjoy them more because of his mind is in such a different place. So his performance absolutely 100% changed.
What do you mean by simplify? And how can traders simplify things?
And what came to my mind when I was listening to you, Richard, was when I was learning to drive. So when I was learning to drive as a 17-year-old boy, I would get out of having a driving lesson and I would feel so anxious and my back would be full of sweat and because I was my mind was kind of, think of a glitter ball. Think of a glitter ball and you shake it all up and this glitter goes everywhere. That's how my mind was. I was so thinking about foot and clutch and pedal and brake and indicator and is that car pulling out and there was so much going on in my mind that I couldn't wait to get out of that car. And sometimes I would trade like that. But you know, when I drive now, it's just simple. It's such a simple exercise. Now, does that mean that there's still a clutch and there's still other people pulling out and there's other cars and pedestrians and traffic lights? Of course there are. But my mind is so much more settled with it. And driving is an ease. But when I used to trade, my mind could be so busy because I thought I needed to know that and that. And what happens if that? And where do I get out of that position if that happens? And I don't know if I can do that. And well, I can't afford to lose that because I need to make that. And if I do lose that, I don't know if I can do this job anymore. And my mind was so in its innocence, and it was only ever in my innocence, the same as me driving. I was just getting in my own way because of my yearning for success. I was getting in my way of being successful. Does that make any sense?
That's a very good point.
Are there many other performance coaches in Western countries? And we don't have any in China.
Well, it's a good question. The thing is, Richard, there is other people who do coaching in the West, obviously. But as far as I know, no one in the world teaches what I teach to traders. And what I teach is the most important thing anyone will ever learn, I believe, because I'm showing people how their mind works. What's the greatest gift you've been given? The greatest gift you've been given is the power of your mind.
From the perspective of performance coaching, how should traders make plans and control risks?
It's not so much your trading plan that's important. It's the state of mind that was behind the creating of the trading plan. So if you've created a trading plan from feeling a little bit urgent, a little bit panicked, a little bit worried, that trading plan is going to be no good. If you've created a trading plan from clarity, from a clear mind, from an understanding, it's going to be a completely different trading plan. Can you see? It's not the trading plan.
Yeah, it's yourself, right?
It's always the state of mind that was behind the trading plan. So it's whatever you've done today. You think about your day that you've done today, Richard. It's not what you've done today that's important. It's the state of mind you've been in when you've done what you've done today. So if you've been with friends and yet you've been distracted thinking about this call today or some emails you haven't done, it doesn't matter you've been out with friends. Your state of mind, you weren't present with them. You know, you could have sat on your own all day and been in a really good state of mind and had a wonderful time. So it's always the state of mind you're in. So that's why state of mind is so important, even in trading plans. Because when you've got clarity of mind and you are creating a trading plan from that place, you're more likely to achieve it.
Someone shared his successful story on your website, and it says that traders need to have a clear mind. How can I achieve that?
Well, it's a really good. It's the multi-million-dollar question. You know, everybody in the world wants to clear their mind, and I'm sure their mind. But I want you to consider something. I want you to consider your mind is already clear, but for your thinking. You can't get to a clear mind. You can't get to a clear mind. The only thing you can do is to realize that your mind is already clear, but for the thinking that you're currently having. Now, that's what every book, all the psychology books are trying to do. They're trying to get people into the clear mind, into the zone. I'm saying something completely different. I'm saying you're already there. You just don't realize it. Now, that's a game changer. You can't clear your mind. How can you clear your mind? Is you have to think about clearing your mind to clear your mind, so you're thinking more. That's the problem.
For example, there's a lot of traders that do a meditation. Is that useful for to clear our mind to do that?
Well, absolutely. I'm not saying that people should or shouldn't meditate, but what are you actually doing when you're meditating? You're just returning. Your mind is just quietening down. It's returning to its natural place. No one's actually clearing your mind for you. I'm trying to explain to people it's built into the design. Let me give you a metaphor, Richard. So think of a pond. Think of a pond that's very still and very clear. And you and I are looking at this beautiful, still, clear pond. We can see the bottom of it because the water's very clear. And we take our shoes and socks off and we start splashing around in the pond. Now, what happens to the clear water? What happens? All of a sudden, there becomes waves. There becomes the clear water starts to become dirty because of all of the silt and the mud starts getting up. Now, all of a sudden, that still clear pond is completely different. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you say to me, Steve, how on earth are we going to get this pond back to how it was? What do? Take your feet out. Because the pond is designed to return to its natural state, which is clear and still. I'm showing people that the mind is the same. As soon as we stop giving life to our busy minds, all of the thinking that we have, it just returns to its place, its natural place, which is clear and still. You can't get there. You can only see that you're already there.
Yeah, I got your point. Yeah.
And my job is to help people to do that.
Can you give us a specific suggestion?
The only way you can do is do nothing, so your mind is clear. That's what I'm thinking.
The tip that comes to my mind is to invite the people that are listening to this, is for them to play around with this. Get curious. Well, where's my state of mind at the moment? Just check in. Oh, I'm feeling really stressed. Oh, okay, that's okay. You don't have to trade. You don't have to stop being stressed. You don't have to change being stressed. We kind of understand, where is that stress coming from? It looks like it's coming from my P&L. It looks like it's coming from my wife. It looks like it's coming from something externally. But it's only ever coming from my own mind. So I want people just to play around with this beautiful gift that you have been given. Every single person that's ever stepped on this planet has been given this beautiful gift. But not many of us have been fortunate enough to understand how it works.
I think it's enough for today.
Real pleasure. It's been my pleasure, Richard, and I really love the idea of sharing this. This is the thing I'm more passionate about.
Yes, thanks a lot.
那大家看了我们和 Steve 的这一个访谈之后呢，我相信有很多同学可能会被 Steve 催眠啊，就我跟他聊天之后，我差点被他催眠的感觉，就它是一种娓娓道来的一个很特殊的一个交易员。原因呢，其实他说他以前说话一直是非常快的，自从开始明白要把自己冷静下来，让自己的节奏变慢之后，提升更多的一些满足感的时候，他就转变了心态，慢慢他说话节奏也开始变慢。所以非常有趣的一个访谈。那从这个内容当中我们可以看到，尽量是简化你的交易， 特别在做交易的过程当中，简化你的目标，简化你本来对市场的预期，越简单越好。然后另外一点呢，就是说呢，要让自己更了解自己，也就是更加清楚自己的能力，或者不要给自己太多条条框框，对自己要有充分的信任。我认为这2点是作为交易员，比较重要的啊。这个是我们和 Steve 的一个访谈之后我们的一些想法。那我做一个简单的一个下期的预告。那下期我们会邀请到非常著名的一名技术分析师，纯技术派。那他曾经是在彭博工作5年的首席的技术分析师，后来又参与到各大交易机构当中去任职分析师，同时现在也是在职路透的一个分析技术的培训师，还有长达30-40年的交易经验，特别在技术分析领域。同时他也有很多部著作关于技术分析的内容。所以希望大家不要错过下一期市场上著名的技术分析师的访谈。